to make sure the red light's on. Nah, how? We will talk more about this song later on. So I'm Nanotic. Yeah. I've been learning for over like 15 years and probably teaching for about 7. And I speak a variety of Anishinaabe from Manitoulin Island. But all the pieces are the same, and where they're different, I'll highlight that for you. Okay. So some rules before we start. I don't do Anishinaabe names. Please don't ask. Those are outside of the realm of the things that I teach. So I don't translate Anishinaabe names back, forth, sideways, up or down. Okie dokie. Number 2, learning Anishinaabe is really, really hard. And over the next couple of days, we're going to cover so much and give you an overview of the language. And you're totally allowed to be frustrated, confused, mad, and you can cuss me out on the breaks, okay? We're going to open up a breakout room. And y'all can be mad at me, okay? If you need to put it somewhere. And then number 3 is yeah, after this, you're not allowed to leave here and say Nanotic said it was this way. Because there's so much variation in Anishinaabe. It's spoken from Labrador all the way to the edge of Alberta. And so there isn't just one way of speaking and one way of doing something. There's lots of ways. Yeah. Okie dokie. Questions, comments, concerns before we start? No? Okie dokie. And feel free at any time to unmute and say, hey, and then I'll probably stop and say, yes. And you can ask your question, okay? And it's kind of true. If you have a question about something, somebody else probably has the same question or a closely related question. Okay. So first things first, there we go. First things first. This is for beginners, so we are going to start at sounds, even though I'm sure most of you have seen this chart out there before. In 1996, 1998, something like that, in the 90s, I should say. All these speakers from all over Ontario, Quebec, Minnesota, I think even Manitoba, they got together in Toronto. And they said, this is going to be the international Anishinaabe writing system. And that we recognize the use of syllabics. So that's where we're at. We have this, and this is how Anishinaabe is written. Across the top, we write with 7 vowels: single A, single I, single O, double A, double I, double O, single E. Okay. On the top here, on the left side, the very first 3 are considered short or weak vowels. Okay. that gets more important later. But the first three, single A, single I, single O, are considered weak or short vowels. The next four, double A, double I, double O, and single E, are all considered long vowels or strong vowels. Okay, down here we have the single A, as in butt or up. The I, as in fit, bit, or it. The O as in obey or book, and then we have the double A here, father, ox. The double I, feet, eat, e. Sometimes you see people write this with a double E. There's no double E. And then we have this longer double O, boat or boot. And so those vowels are actually different, boat and boot. And some people will say bojo, and some people will say boujou. And it's just the vowel quality of where they're coming from. Same word, they just say that sound a little bit differently. And then the single E, which is considered a long or strong vowel, way, say, a, the A sound. You'll notice across the top, one vowel we write with in English, but we don't write with in Nishnabemwin, is U. Okay, so we're going to break the very first rule, and you can tell people that Nanasi said there's no U in Nishnabemwin. If you want to write with a U, use the single A. That's that same sound. Okie. On the left-hand side here, we have our consonants. And each one of these pairs down to M. So B, P, D, T, G, K, J, C, H, Z, S, Z, S, H are said to sometimes be interchangeable. I don't think that's necessarily the case. It's just the context in which we hear them. So like B and P, at the end of a word, a B is going to sound like a P. At the end of a word, a D is going to sound like a T. A G at the end of the word is going to sound like a K. A J at the end of a word is going to sound like a CH. Me, Gwetch. A Z is going to sound like an S, and a ZH will sound like an SH. M and N, they stay in their own lanes. W, Y, and glottal stop are sometimes interchangeable depending on the speaker. I've heard a speaker use the same one twice. Oh. Okay. So some speakers might use the word giwe. Giwe. This word means Shahi goes home. Giwe. And so you can say Giye too. Giye. Shahi goes home. And Giye. Shahi goes home. Which gets a little confusing because there's this other word, Giyan, which means so they say, or apparently. Okie dokie. So our little multiplication chart gives us all the possible sounds. and some that we don't really use. Okay, and if I do this right, the last line is going to be one more time up here. And if not, then it'll just be this line over and over again until we finish. E, o, e, o, ba, be, bo, ba, be, bo, be, pa, pe, po, pa, pe, po, pe, da, di, do, da, di, do, de, ta, ti, to, ta, ti, to, te, ga, ge, go, ga, gi, go, ge, ka, ke, ko, ka, ki, ko, ke, ja, je, jo, ja, ji, jo, je, cha, che, cho, cha, chi, cho, che, za, ze, zo, za, zi, zo, ze, sa, se, so, sa, si, so, se, ja, je, jo, ja, ji, jo, je, sha, she, sho, sha, shi, sho, she, ma, me, mo, ma, mi, mo, me, na, ne, no, na, ni, no, ne, wa, we, wo, wa, we, wo, we, ya, ye, yo, ya, yi, yo, ye, a, e, o, a, e, o, e. Hey, I gotta write this thing. Okay. Oop, there we go. Okie dokie. Some combination sounds. This AAW makes the ow and ouch. And so we hear that when we say something like Anishinaabe in Dao. Ow. Anishinaabe in Dao. I am Anishinaabe. So AW and OW can sound like the double O. If you have kids, this one might be a good one. On bon. So this on bon. And in this case, that O means go and sleep. On bon, go to bed. And then we have this double AY sound. I. So this might just be an island thing. I love this phrase. Bayayin. Babayayin. When you are around. Bin watch when bayayin. Visit when you're around. And so the island speakers tend to like cut a whole bunch of vowels. Remember I was saying those short or weak vowels are it's important to know because those ones are the ones that disappear. And so when they say this really fast, they get rid of all those vowels. And they say bayine, bayine. Yunuki? Questions, comments, concerns about the sounds or writing system? Okay. This is the our chart to help us make numbers. Gindaswanak. Gindaswanak is how we say numbers. And we have a ones column in our chart here. We have a tens column, and we have a hundreds column. And a lot of times people say if you learn the first couple numbers, the first 10 numbers, Beijik, Nish, Swe, Ni, Win, Nan, Gudwaswe, Ni, Jwaswe, Shwaswe, Zhangswe, Midaswe. Oh, there's a question in the chat. No question yet. Okay. If we learn our tens, if we learn our ones, then our tens and our hundreds get easier because niche becomes niche tana, and later on becomes nijwa. And so those are very similar patterns. Swe, simdana, niche tana, right? Nijwak, swe, swak. Ni win, nimdana, dana, ni win, ni walk. So one might say that these walks are like a hundreds ending, and the dina endings are for the tens. And we'll get to investigate some of this later using the dictionaries. Okie dokie. So yes, ones, tens, hundreds, and in between each one of those numbers is this shit. So if I pick up one from this column, unless I'm stopping there, I'm going to pick up a shit, and then I'll pick up the next piece, and then a shit, and then the next piece. Where's my buttons here? It's supposed to be easier now. There we go. So if I was doing the number 354, right, I would pick my 300, shit, 50, shit, 4. Okay. And I should say this now because I need to say it multiple times. Medaswe or Medaswak shouldn't actually be in this hundreds column, even though it has a hundreds ending. It really should be in its own column on the side here with its sh in between. Because using this chart, we can do the numbers from 1 to 1,999. And later on, I will tell you how to say 2,000, 3,000. Okie dokie. So we have a song for the ones and the tens, and you get extra points if you come up with a song for the hundreds. So we'll do 1 to 10 first, and then we'll move to 10, the 10 song. Beijik ni sweni win nanin ingodwa swen ni jwa swen shwa swen zhang swen me da swen. Okay, you're responsible for Medaswe. Now. Medaswe nishtanan simdanan nimdanan non medan dwa simdanan Ni Jua Simdanan Shua Simdana Zhang Simdana in good walk. Okay, and then our hundreds. Good walk, Ni Jua, Swak, Ni walk, non walk, Good was walk, Ni Jua Swak, Shua Swak, Zhang Swak, Mida Swak. Okie dokie. Questions, comments, concerns?
On the Midas walk, you were talking about that earlier, the 1,000. So if I wanted to go on and talk about that, because I just missed it, I was writing a note. So Midas walk, Shay, and then I could go on to counting up again, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure because I was scribbling my note there and you said something about it. I was like, oh, but no, cool. I think I got that. Midas walk.
Oh, yeah. So I'm gonna probably say it a couple more times for my own peace of mind that I said it. Midas walk doesn't really belong in the hundreds column, even though it has a hundreds column. Or sorry, that it has the hundreds ending. It really should be in its own column with a sh in between. Miigwech for the question. Okay. If there aren't any more questions, we will look for answers. I hope I'm sharing the right screen. Okay, looks like I'm sharing the right screen. Okie dokie. You can just yell it out, shout it out, shake it out. Just kidding. And even if you just try to say it on your side, I will say it out loud in a minute.
I was waiting for other people to say it. I don't have an idea, but I'll give it a go. Um Nagadwak uh Nagadwak Namindan Niwen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I forgot the she. But
And now you're remembering it.
yeah.
Nishin. In good walk, Shinan Midna Shiniwin.
Oh,
In good walk, Shinan Midna Shiniwin.
yeah, miigwech. Come on, Faye, give it a go.
And give everybody a moment to try it if they want to on their side, or you can shout it out. And then I'll just say it for you. Ni Jua Swak, Shi Midaswe, Shing Gudwaswe. Ni Jua Swak. Oh, Nijwaswak, Shimidaswe, Shingwidwaswe. Good walk, Shingwidwasimdana, Shinshwaswe. In good walk, Shingwidwasimdana, Shinshwaswe. Again, I'll give you a moment to work it out on your side. Nijwaswak, Shinsimdana, Shitniwin. Nijwaswak, Shinsimdana, Shitniwin. Okay, so we're going to change it up a little bit because using this chart, hopefully we can do the numbers from 1 to 1,999. And I said earlier that Medaswak really doesn't belong in the hundreds column, even though it has the hundreds ending. And it should be over here in its own column with a sh. Okay, so 1,011. Give you a moment, or you can shout it out.
Medaswak Shanishtana Shabajik? No. Medaswak Medaswa Shabajik.
Nishin. Medaswak sh. Medaswet shibejik. Nishin.
If I want to teach my class how to say the year, I've been telling them Nij Medaswak Shanishtana Shinswe. Is that correct?
So when you in a moment we were going to talk about making over 2,000. So you'd use
okay.
these ones down here.
Sorry.
So Nijing Midaswak. And then we get a sh here. We don't get a sh here, but we do get it here. 2023. So Nishtana Shin Swe. Nijing Midaswak Shanishna Shin Swe. 2023. Okay. I guess that means we can turn it up. Take a little look down here. So when you want to go beyond 1,999, we're going to use these numbers. We're going to do a little bit more math. First, it seemed like we were just saying plus, plus, plus. Some people make that connection. And this one's times. Anish Minik Ching. How many times? Anish Minik Ching. Ngoding, once or one time. Some people say obding. Obding. Ngoding, obding. Then we have Nijing, swing, kneeling, noning, ngudwaching, nijwaching, schwaching, zhangqing, medaching. Ngoding, Nijing, swing, kneeling, noning, ngudwaching, nijwaching, schwaching, zhangqing, medaching, nibnaching. Okie dokie. We turn the heat up in the kitchen. And so now technically you can say up to 10,999. Are you ready? I want to do one of these. Where are they? Oh, I guess I don't get them. One of these ones. Okay. 3,173. I'll give you a moment on your side and then I'll say it for you. Swing, swing, midaswak, shingudwak, nijwa simdana, shinswe. Swing midaswak, shingudwak, shin nijwa simdana, shinswe. Very good. Swatching midaswak, shingudwak, shinsimdana, shibejik. Swatching midaswak, shingudwak, shinsimdana, shibejik. Yabi basic. One more. Oh, okay. I'll give you a moment.
Medaching, she, Gudwa Simdana Shanish,
Almost.
Awing.
Almost. Medaching midaswak.
Ah,
Yeah.
Medaching
Medaching
Medaswak,
shingudwa simdana shinish. So you got the other part right? Just I think that's the biggest number I've ever said in this class.
That was pretty wild, I think. I didn't want to take a stab at that. That's pretty cool, though.
Ni wing midaswak. Shinijwak. Shinishtana. Shijangswe. our numbers tend to get really long. Or seemingly they get really long. And so a lot of speakers, when they talk about like time, they just say like that time in 1959, me with P 1959. And if we write more to like keep it in the language, it ends up being something like Midas walk, me with P and so me with P Midas walk, Shijang swak, Shinan midna, Shijang swe, in Sobobunagak. And so speakers, like everyone sort of wants to be efficient. Sometimes we call that lazy, but your body, you want to be efficient, your body wants to be efficient. So we just normally say me with P 1959. But now you can make the numbers from 1 to 10,099. Other questions, comments, concerns? The first morning is a lot of me talking. I know it's hard. I talk a lot, and I ask a lot of questions, and then I look for answers. Okie dokie. Again, feel free to stop me. Neon, Begon, Suck. So these are the ones that are like written before. And so this is how they sort of sound when we add them to our verbs, which we're going to talk a lot more about. Okay, so sometimes you hear go the bugane. It is 1 o'clock. Go the bugane. You also might hear bejugo. Like I would say bejugo medeo. Nijo. So some people just say niche, like niche gishagut. Some people might say nijo gishagut. So gishagut. So the bugane. Neo babunageze. She's 4 years old. Neo babunageze. Nano babunageze. He's 5 years old. Nano the bugane. It is 5 o'clock. Gudwa so. Nijwa so. Shwa so. Zhang so. Meda so. And down here are some other ways we might see or want to use numbers. And these are called ordinal numbers. Right? Because they go first, second, third. It's the order of something. Tam. Ekonijing. So we kind of already recognize some of these from up here. The Anishmanichings. But they have this echo on it. Ekon swing. Echo kneeling. Echo nodding. Echo good watching. Echo niche watching. Echo swatching. Echo zhangching. Echo medaching. Am I sharing my whole screen still? Yeah, we can make it bigger.
In Rama, we don't use those ordinals. We use the ones above there, the Nigan, Vegan, Sug. So we'll say for Monday, the first work day of the week, we say Bajo Gijagad.
Oh.
Then Nijo Gijagad. That's kind of like ordinals, right? First day, the second day.
Yeah, those ones, but that's a verb. Like gijagut is a verb on its own. So you're right that I would use these ones too.
Okay.
I would use these ones with, like, if I wanted to say, what was that show? Are you smarter than a sixth grader? Ekon good watching. Ekon good watching. Bemiyagic, sixth graders. Those ones who are at the sixth level. Kind of.
Okay. Miigwech.
But that's cool that y'all use Beijigol Gishigut. It's Monday.
I do like that other option though, because we talk about for our little ones taking turns and say you go first, their name, Veronica Tam, and then so forth. But I like the option of he goes first, you go second, and you go third, so forth, for giving turns to the little ones and having that addition to not only the Nintam but the first, second, and third. So I like this to incorporate that when we're talking about sharing and time and toys and so forth.
Yeah. So when we play games or when we're doing things, right, you say Gin Tam, and it's been translated as your turn. Right? Gin Tam, your turn. Uh Other questions, comments, concerns about numbers? Cries of outrage? Not yet. It's okay to have those two.
Not yet.
All's good so far. No
Yep.
outrage.
No outrage.
Okay. So the next one we're going to cover is the words Maba and Manda. And so Maba and Manda both have the English translation for the word this. Wa and we are the words for that. And these might not be the ones we use that y'all use in Rama. And I'll show you another chart later on that has some more possibilities. Nanda and Gonda or Gondak both have the translation of these. Gyu, New have the translation of those. Why do you think that Maba and Manda both mean this, but how are they different? Why are there two words?
Animate and inanimate?
Yeah. And which, so if you don't know, it's okay. I just want to see. Which one do you think is animate and which one do you think is inanimate?
I think the first one is animate.
This one,
Maba.
Maba. Yeah. Maba que. So you're right. The ones on the left are for animate things, and the ones on the right here are for inanimate things. Okay, and so this is how the language sort of bases some of its functionality around a lot, actually. And we're going to talk about the verbs. And the choice between a Maba word and a Manda word affects what verb we're going to choose later on. Ooh, okay. So the words Maba and Manda, that's based on whether it's considered animate or inanimate. And as we're learning words, we want to learn the plural. Okay. So I want to say I'm learning the word for a chair, which some might say is a pub win, and I should learn the plural. So if I'm learning the word chair, what's the plural of chair in English?
Chairs.
Me, and so for me, the way I've come to do this for myself is put these brackets here, and in the brackets is the plural. Okay, so I'm gonna do this for Nishnab win too, because it's I should learn the plural. Pub win is one chair. How do I say more than one chair?
Pabwanan.
Pub winan. Okay. And a pin is a
Potato.
Potato.
potato. The plural for potato in English is potatoes. What is it in Nishnabemwin?
Pinnick.
Pinig.
Yeah, pinik. So you'll notice here, pubwinan, it ends in an N. And for pin or potato, the plural ends in a G. So as we're learning, we want to learn the plurals. And if you're a teacher, you want to teach the plurals. Because it tells us whether or not a word is considered a maba or a manda, or a word is considered animate or inanimate. So animate or maba words end in a G or K sound. Animate words. The plural ends in a G or K sound. And inanimate words, the plural ends in a N sound. This is on the test later, this very question, okay? And this is the answer. Okie
Okie dokie.
So whether the word is animate or inanimate, and so now we're gonna go start down the list. The difference between this and that is whether or not you can touch it, is how I would describe it. Okay, so if you can touch it, something within reach, this pen, this mouse, this keyboard, this chair. But as soon as it's out of your reach, right, that cupboard, if you push the pen just out of your reach, you could say that pen. And so a speaker would tell me, you have to do the action, you have to point. That coat, right? Whereas if I could touch it, I could say this coat, that wall versus this wall. So they're sort of based on distance, yeah?
That's really interesting. We have a nonverbal little person in our group, and she points all the time, and we sort of can guesstimate what she's actually looking at. So if it's something that's close to her, we can say maba or manda if it's a little further from her.
So like if it's a chair, you would
Mhm.
stay on this side, and it would be like manda if it's
Mhm.
close, and we if it's just a little further.
Where? Yeah. Okay, where? I do recall having heard that before, so now no. Miigwech.
So this and that is based on distance. And so when we get to a these, right? These pieces of paper here in front of me that I can touch, these, right? These pens, these books, these chairs, right? Now it's plural, right? Versus this pen, this cup, this chair. Now I have these cups, these pens, these chairs. So more chairs, but they're all close and I can touch them. And then again with the distance things, right? Those pens over there, those cups, and those chairs. So based on whether or not it's animate or inanimate, how close it is, right? So this or that, and whether or not there's just one or more than one. Okay, these words super useful. And I'm going to say always refer back to your own speech community, because maybe you don't use a with. Some even some speakers in your community might use a with, and others might use a different one. That's okay because that happens in my community. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're the O's and the O's and the O's over here. No, no Mava or Manda.
Yeah. So you're probably in this
Yeah.
list somewhere.
We have Faye, we have a little Wacomican speaker in our group, and he'll go over that. And that's how he sort of speaks. He's learning the Rama dialect as well, but uh, yeah, you're right. That's how we talk down this way. But I like to be exposed to the other stuff too, just so that the other little speakers that we're coming across.
Yep, it's always good to know both.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can use these words the way that we would use them in English, sort of, right? For this and those and these, right? If we want to say that, those, this dog's hungry, those dogs are hungry, this chair is black. This is the word we're going to use for that. But we can also use it because in Anishinaabe we don't have like a particular word for the, like a translatable the, but we make use of these words. So it could also be translated as the dog or the chair. Okay, so if you need a the, this is the word you want. If you need an like these words do a lot in English for us. So you would just use one. Basic. Kiwap ma na basic gajian. Did you see one cat? A cat. But we're gonna use these words. And they add that extra layer that the in English doesn't give us, of like distance to the speaker. Oh, and when we use it in these two ways, the tendency is for the this or the word to come on the left side of the word. So manda pabwin, nanda pabwinan, wa namush, maba namush. Because in contrast, sometimes we use this to state what things are. We use these words. Pabwin manda. This is a chair. Shishigwan manda. This is a shishigwan. Manda. Minakwajagas manda. This is a cup. So we hear these things a lot. I think we see them a lot in like little kids' books, and it's a good thing in the classroom. Oh, like Nesochia Akmanda. This is a triangle. And sometimes when you're on the phone, again, you were saying that like maybe you're using an ow or a what oh. But sometimes when I call my family, they're like, oh, so and so maba. This is so and so. Just as a little example. You're at some sort of event and your friend walks in but you're talking to your other acquaintance and Gwich Kawet Nutwa. Is that your friend? Gwich Kawet Nutwa. Nich Kawet Uwa. Yes, that is my friend. So that's another way that we use these words, is to point out what things are. And we also use these words like you may have heard these words: neen, geen, ween. They mean something like I, my, or mine. All the different variations of you and your. And then something like shahi, his, her, and all those variations. So we don't use these words necessarily like we do in English. So I wouldn't say buckaday ween. That wouldn't be my like go-to way of making that sentence. We actually use these maba manda words, the this, the this, that words to say things like shahi, like an explicit shahi. Even though our words can be like one sentence, buckaday is all that I need to say. Buckaday. Shahi is hungry. Very often they'll say buckaday wa, shahi's hungry. And this is just like a shahi. But it really is like shahi is hungry. That one. Buckaday ma ba. So even though this shahi's hungry, this one is hungry. And we can also use it for it or though they in those senses. Questions, comments, concerns? Okay. So you will hear me say multiple times to always refer back to your own speech community, because I will teach you patterns. But sometimes these patterns are just a little bit different in your community, but now you will know where to look. So a quick search through all the online dictionaries gives me all these examples for these. So I use the word maba. Other communities don't. Even speakers within like my supposed speech community might use different ones. Baba, oh, what oh, away, oh, away, away. So always sort of be open to the possibilities. If you're to use any of these ones, I won't bat an eye. Okie dokie. So we're gonna be doing lots of stuff with verbs. And so we need to know who we're sort of talking about. We're very often told that there are 7 people in Nishnabemwin that we're need to be able to change the verbs around to talk about. Really, there are 9. So we have the neen, geen, ween, I, you, she, he, it, the singular, they in English. We have this one in Nishnabemwin, the 4th person. You'll see it often written as H slash. The unknown, unspecified, or X. We have 2 we's in Nishnabemwin. We exclusive, we inclusive. So you're excluding the person you're speaking to, or you are including the person you're speaking to. And we have a y'all, or a use, I should say, and a they. Oops, what am I doing? What did you do? Okay. Okay, on the right, are there more linguistic-y, grammar-y names? So this X person at the top here, okay, this one gets super interesting, super fun. I'm going to do this hand motion, and it won't be the last time I do this hand motion, but I'm talking to you. So I'm always number 1 when I'm talking, right? Neen, when I'm talking, I'm number 1. When you're talking, you're number 1, right? So whoever you're talking to is number 2. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Telling you. And so I'm telling you that John, right, my 3rd person, Shahiyat, is doing something to someone else, or a 4th person. So I'm telling you that John is doing something to Jack. So that's one way this relationship sort of works, is one person doing it to another. Or we can talk about John and his friend, right? That's sort of possessed. John and his friend. And if you think about it, like, I would say like John and his mom. So the person is further away from me. I know John more than I know his mom, right? I've met his mom, but I don't know her. So I would say John and his mom. Whereas if I knew the mom more, it would be, Jane and her son John. The person's further away from you. So that's what we call the 4th person here. So it has those 2 relationships, one of us of someone doing something to someone, so John seeing Jack, or like a possession relationship, John and his mother. Unknown, unspecified, or X, super fun stuff there. It gets used a lot, and we don't even notice it. Enjanime iding. This is where there is dancing. And this ending is for X. It means we sort of just remove the person, the actor doing the action. Okay. I'm going to say sometimes Nishnabemwin is very passive aggressive. Because, is there a difference between? So are you talking about like when we say the, like if I could throw the bucket there, bucket there, or neen bucket there.
Eh.
Um, so I would go with this one over this one for surezies.
Mhm.
I don't know if you if you've heard a speaker say that one, that would be interesting. It's possible.
I think I've maybe I've mistaken that I've heard that extra sound in there, because this the reason I'm asking because I'm just learning how to write myself, and so when I read or when I hear something, I was like, okay, I know that the end there is indicating me or my, and then and it would be the same question if it was geen. I was like, so it's just the sound or the writing that we're looking at. And the bottom one, neen buckade, I yeah, that just seems a bit too stretched out. Whereas the glottal the middle one there is the best option. But I was just wondering, they're all saying the same thing and they're all writing the same thing, but you wouldn't necessarily say them the same way, I guess is what I'm saying.
so I would go with this one,
Mm.
like you were saying. This one, um, people do this. Speakers do this where they get this extra sound.
Mm.
And as we go on, I'll show you where this D comes from.
Okay.
Um, but sometimes like it could be in da and di.
Yeah.
And some people even do in do.
Mm. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah, I've seen that one too.
that one's a anyways. Uh, yeah. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk more about where this d comes from.
Okay, miigwech.
So now we have. Oh, sorry, we're doing X. Great phrase to know. Anish eje kedang. Anish eje kedang. I need to go to the bathroom. How? So in English, we might say, "How do you say?" How do you say? In French, they say, "How does one say?" In Anishinaabe, we say, "How is it said?" And we're sort of taking the person out of it. Whereas, English puts it on you, French puts it on some random person, which is probably a little bit closer. Some people like to translate this X as one does this. So how does one say? But some scholars would say you have to take the person right out, and it's how is it said? Oh, dek ni shi shik kidam. It is said. So these endings are for X. We have our we exclusive and we inclusive. These ones you're including or excluding the person you're speaking to. So you remember that 1 and 2 business? So you're either including 2 or you're not including 2. I like to call the first one the we exclusive, the storytelling we. When you get back from your weekend, we did this and we did that. You're sharing with your friends at the office. We did this, we did that, we saw this. And then the we inclusive is the plan making we. We're going to do this and we'll see that. And then we'll go over here and maybe we'll do this. So we're including everybody in the conversation, you too. We have a y'all or a use and a they. So you've already sort of seen it that I tend to write with these short forms. So S/HE, shahi. And this will stand for all of these here. Shahi, it, the singular use of they. In English, we have this singular they. And in Anishinaabe, like our verbs don't carry gender information, and neither do our pronouns really. And because we base things on animacy, it's not about like male, female, or masculine, feminine. So you would still use this particular conjugation for a shahi or a singular they. This one will often be written as H/, stands for his or her, or him or her. You'll see X. We talked about X. We's. Later on, we're gonna see this H/S, and that stands for his or her things. Italicized letters. You may already know this. Some people say them, some people don't. And in the list below, the hyphen is where the verb goes. Okay, we're almost there. Almost to super happy fun times. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing with verbs. Okay, super important to learning any language is learning how to work with verbs, because they're the lifebloods of all languages, but more specifically here, the indigenous languages to North America are very verb centric, very polysynthetic. That means our verbs have like lots of little pieces on them, making it a little bit harder to put it all together sometimes. But that's what we're here to do, is to explore those little pieces and those patterns that'll help us say what we want to say. Okay, there's no part in this program where I give you a list of words to say and you have to memorize them. I want you to be able to say what you want to say. Okay, so I be happy right now. Okay, you understand what I'm saying. I be happy right now. Sitting here doing my thing. I'd be so happy right now. But you also know that's not the right way to say that. How would I say it? I be happy right now.
Get your nandem.
Yeah, that's in Ojibwe. In English, though,
I'm happy.
I am happy. Nish. You be happy. How would I say that?
You're happy.
You are happy. Me. What? Shahi. Shahi be happy right now.
Is?
Is. We be happy. Are. They
Are.
Kidoki. So we are sort of going to be doing the same thing, but in Anishinaabe. And then what we're also going to do is I be happy yesterday. So now I'm changing what they call the tense, right? So I'm happy right now in the present, but yesterday in the past, I be happy is I,
Was.
you,
Where?
Shehi,
Was,
we,
Where?
they,
Where?
nishin. So this is what we're going to be doing, but we're going to do it all in Anishinaabe. Okay, so this is a process you already know how to do. Your body can do it, your mind can do it, your mouth can do it. I believe in you. Uh, and but this is what we're going to be doing in Anishinaabe. Kidoki. Shall we jump into that? We'll take a little breaksy poo right now, 15 minutes, and then we'll jump into all the stuffs in after the break.
Nishin,
Okie dokie.
eh.
Okay, 10:40 kapskabi me.
Miigwech.
Bejik ni sweni win nanin engudwa swe ni jwa swen shwa swe shang swe me da swe. Okay, you're responsible for Madaswe from now on. I'm not gonna sing it anymore. Okie dokie. So let's try that one more time. But you're responsible for Madaswe. And you gotta sing it like it's Friday night, okay? Be be Beijik ni sweni win
Win.
nanin good waswe ni jwa swe shwa swe dong swe
Middaswe.
nishen. Medaswe nishtanan simdana nimdana non midna
Non-midna
in good
good
was
was midna.
nijwa simdanan shwa simdana jang simdana
Now
in
in
good
good
was.
walk.
Oogie doogie. So we was down here. We talked about doing this in English, and this is what we're gonna do in Anishinaabe. And we're going to talk about these more verb classes. And it'll get easier. It really does get easier. Any dictionary, any of the online dictionaries, I should say, will tell you what type of verb you're working with. And which chart to use. There are a lot of very specific verbs that end up being in this category, but we start to think that they should be this. But because Anishinaabe is so like verby, they end up being this one. So this is one of those things that I'm going to explain to you, but you just need to like let wash over you. And it gets easier. Okay, so these in this case all stand for verb. Okay, so verb, animate, intransitive, inanimate, intransitive, transitive, animate, inanimate, oh sorry, transitive, inanimate. Okay, and so really in Anishinaabe there's two types of verbs. Those that are intransitive and those that are transitive. Okay, so those are our two types of verbs. And when we're saying something that's intransitive, we're worried about whether or not what we're talking about is animate or inanimate. So I like to imagine like the part that talks about whether it's transitive or not is the verb. So in English, this would be like to be happy. So Shahi is happy. Shahi is happy. And it is happy. Okay. So our distinction between VAI and VII is whether or not we're talking about something animate or if we're talking about something inanimate. Later on, when we talk about transitive verbs, the decision will be whether or not we are doing it to something animate or whether or not we are doing it to something inanimate. Okay, so again, give it to him or her, or let's say see him or her and see it. Okay, so let's take a little look-see here. Now, this word list, or so this little list to remember, super, super helpful because it's like a very concise version of all the pieces. And we're going to learn all the rules as we go. But this list here is the one I would say you have to write out 100 times. And that helps you remember all these pieces. This is the way that I prefer to learn, is to write things out 100 times. Maybe I get it from my mom, because when my mom would like read a book, she would write it out almost like line by line. But it works. Okay, so you write it out and then you hide the paper away from yourself. So writing it out helps you put it in your brain, right? But that's not what we want to do with it. What we actually want to do is be able to use it. We want to recall it and be able to use it, hopefully in real time later on. So you write it out a couple times, look at it, write it out, and then take the paper away and try to write it without looking at anything first, right? So this is practicing that recall. And then you fill in the blanks, you know, you complete it, put it aside, and do that again. Keep not looking at the paper, writing it out as much as you can, and then fill in the rest and try again. And eventually you'll be able to write the whole thing. Yeah. On my own journey, I've often been asked, you know, or I've been told, you know, you have to do the work. You have to do the work. And my question always is like, well, what's the work? You know, I'm willing to do the work. Just, you know, can you tell me what the work is? And so here I'm going to tell you, this is what the work is writing these things out. And it doesn't have to be 100 times. I know 100 times sounds scary. By like, if you do it 10 times, you'll probably have it most, right? And if you work in an environment where you're always trying to use it, it's much easier. So our first ones, VAI, so animate intransitive. We're talking about a MAVA or something animate, right? So there's only one thing to worry about. And the same thing with VII. So VII is whether or not we're talking about something inanimate. And so here it's it. So that thing, those things, his or her thing, his or her things. Okay. And later on, when we get to transitive verbs, we're worried about two things now, you noticed. And that's whether or not we're doing the action to something animate, so I to you or him, or if we're doing it to something inanimate, it's. Okay, let that sit for a minute. Okay, questions, comments, concerns about that?
This is always the most intimidating for me, as I know it's a formula. And like you were saying, the work has to go in regards to putting all those sort of formulas in when you're going to be verbing, I guess. And so, yeah, I'm always like, ooh, but I know that it has to be done because that's how it works. But no, it's Sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not there when I can, form the words together.
Yeah. I think that's a normal feeling, and especially over the next 2 weekends. There's lots and lots of information, but after that, like, you can take your time. Okay, so you'll notice that as we looked at this chart, that there's two sides. On the left, we have an A form, and upon the right hand side, we have our B form. Okay, and so Anishinaabe, our verbs are structural to what the sentence means. So how we conjugate them changes what they mean and their context. But yeah, A form, B form. A form is seemingly much harder because they have beginnings and endings, and B form feels like it gets a little easier because it's just an ending. Okay. But we have to know A form, B form. We need to know, we'll talk about what C form is. Because in the language, like, you have to be able to sort of slide back between all of them to be able to communicate the way you want to communicate. Okay. So down here, we have our A form, B form, C form, D form chart. So we have an A form chart. We have a B form chart. C form happens the same way to all verb classes, and we will talk more about C form. And D form, you're probably already a little more familiar with. These are commands. Do it. Sit. Stand. Let's eat. Okay. And for the most part, we're going to focus on A, B, and C. A form are independent statements, whereas B form and C form are sort of dependent. If I walk into the room and say, I'm hungry, you might say, oh, there's food over there. Right? Because what I said, I'm hungry, is good. It's fine. It can stand by itself. Where if I walk into the room and say, if I'm hungry, you're waiting for me to finish that sentence, because that if makes it dependent on something else, almost like condition, right? If I'm hungry, then I'm hangry, whatever, right? So A form are independent statements. I like to think about them as looking like that. I am. Whereas our B form has this little space in front. And in this little space goes one of these words up above. So for the most part, we're going to focus on if, that, to, and when. Before we use with B form, after sometimes we use with B form. So when, where are sort of that's a more nuanced choice. But for B form right now, we're going to do if, that, to, and when. Before, you need a separate word for. Yeah, but those are the words that can go in this space. And that's why they're sort of structurals, because they have these spaces. So just by putting it in B form, I open up this space and I allow for the understanding of if, that, to, if, that, to, and when. without having to add anything else. Just by virtue of it being in be form, it could say those things. And so when we start making C forms, it comes from B form. So you'll make your verb up all in B form, and the very last thing you will do is put it into C form. And so that changes what word goes into this space. So if before we were working with if, that, to, before, when, here we're definitely going to have a who or a what or a how or a why. So we need to add extra things to get why, and who and what are sort of the default, but the words change that go in there. And yeah, this makes our verbs structural to how they fit in the sentence and how they're understood. And it's all on the verb, right? Okay. So this sentence in the Schnabel, you know that I know what you know, right? So these are some keywords that were in the chart, right? I saw that. And in my English sentence, the verb that follows that is going to be in that form, that, no. So there was nothing that introduced this no. This is our A form sentence, right? It's got a beginning and an ending. So when we were looking at the list to remember, we said that A forms are a little harder because they have a beginning and an ending. So I know it. I know that. So that introduces this verb, know. That I know. So here's the ending, ma. And then what was from C form. So it has an ending because we first go to B form to get to C form. And then we do this little thing. So C form is known as what they call initial change or initial vowel change. And it's just a little bit different. This is one of those things that makes learning Anishinaabe so much fun. Okay. And these are our building blocks for the language. So I'm happy. I'm happy. I can say that sentence by itself. That's our A form. To be here. P here. Ya. To be located somewhere. I'm happy to be here. So we're gonna make longer sentences today. Super happy fun times. When or if you do the dishes, I will do the laundry. So here's our B form, right? Our B form allows for this space, this understanding of if or when. And I will do the laundry. I can say that and nobody has any other questions, right? I'll do the laundry. And I say these are the building blocks of the language is because we can flip them around and move them to do what we want. I will wash the dishes if or when you do I will do the laundry if or when you do the dishes. Okay, so I've just switched the parts. And we'll learn all the different forms. So D form, I said, is those command forms. Do the dishes, right? Now gazibiganayan, gazibiganagan, jabwa begilean, before I come home. And again, building blocks. We can move them around our sentences. Jibwa begiwea gzibi ganaganen. Before I come home, do the dishes. Jibwa begiwea gzibi ganaganen. And jibwa is our word for before. This example just tries to use all four of them in the same sentence. Bipskabin, jibwapskabit gekkinamaget, zam zizbagdons the yan. Come return before the teacher comes back because he will have candy. So we have that D form. We're telling somebody to do something. When we're telling them when to do it. So that's a different word, right? Before, that's B form. Gekinomaget is a teacher. This is C form. We're saying the one who teaches. Dayan. He will have these bacanos candy. Okay. So we're really, really going to get into this A form, B form, C form stuff. You have charts for A form and B form. We'll see those. And C form is a process that applies to all the different verb classes. And at the very end, we start to talk about D form. So C form, page 16, you're going to want to be able to come here at all times. You know, you might even want to just take a screenshot or a picture of that now. Could have this handy. This is also one of those things that you should probably try to memorize. And the very first vowel of our word is going to change. Okay, whether that seems like it comes on the outside of the word or the inside of the word, it's going to be the first vowel. We are going to see this a lot. This arrow means that you change what comes before the arrow to what comes after the arrow. So A changes to E, I changes to E, O changes to W-E. This W is italicized. Some people say it, some people don't. Double A changes to Aya. Double I changes to double A. Double O changes to Wa. E changes to Aye. Okay. So page 16, you don't want to write that one down. So I get my verb. We're going to start in A form. Ija. He goes somewhere. Ja. If he goes to the store, ijat. Now it has a B form ending. And so to get to C form, we first put our verb, we build it all up in B form. And the very last thing you do is you change the initial vowel, which in this case is the initial I. Ejat. I changes to E. Ejat. Okay. Again, feel free to stop me. Say, I don't understand what you're saying. Okay. Gitchenendum. Gitchenendum. He is happy. We'll put it in the B form. Gitchenendung. The ending has changed. And again, we build up our verb all in B form. And the very last thing we do when we want to put it into C form is change the initial vowel. And so in this case, the initial vowel happens on the inside of the word, right? So that I just past the G changes to get chenendung. The Goshen. We'll give it a B form ending. The Goshen, when, if, he arrives. And the last thing we do, we build our verb all up in B form, put all our tenses on, pre-verbs, this, that, and the other. And the very last thing we do is change the initial vowel to make it C form. Okay, Dekshing. The Goshen, Dekshing. So this little change does a lot. It's, it's so easy to miss sometimes, but it gets easier over time. Yeah. So C form, super, super useful. Oh. Okay, so I have to tell you about this one. Some people, some speakers, instead of changing the initial vowel, sorry, this A shouldn't be here. Some people do it this way. Get kino maget. And this is the way that I'm going to show you. The one who teaches, or a teacher, and some people just put an E out in front, in present tense anyways. And this is called the aorist E. And yeah, a get kino maget. So the way I'm going to show you is wasnet. We change wisne to wasnet. And some people can just throw an E out in front, ewisnet. Ewisnet. So that is another way of doing it. Some speakers will prefer one version over the other, but you always have to refer back to your speech community. Again, I'm going to really ask you to try this way, because these rules will inform other tense, how we do this to other tenses and other little pieces. Okay, C form, so very useful. One of those things it has connected to it is what we call relative clauses. And these are, you're referring back to something you've already said. You're using those like who, what words, right? This is the book, or sorry, what that. This is the person who I was talking about. Okay, I'm referring back to something we already sort of know, using those WH words. That's what I heard too, You just mentioned something, I'm relating to it. Down here, eventually they sort of start to become nouns too. We can create nouns with them. Okay, so Bakade Guiuzes Mesconyet. The boy who is wearing red, who is dressed in red, is hungry. And we can drop the guiuzens, which is the person doing the thing, and just leave mesconyet. The one who's dressed in red is hungry. Bakade mesconyet. C form is how we start to create new nouns, because we use our verbs to sort of talk about things. How do I say this? Yeah. So this is the A form. This is the version that we're going to start with. And so bindige yat tesegamagat. Okie dokie. means that like the flashing light, or sorry, there's light motion coming in. Being again, come in. Ate has to do with light or shining. Se is a quick motion. And magut is makes it an it. So they started out with this word. They gave it a B form ending. And then they changed the double I to a double A. And so it becomes that thing which brings in light motion. Okay, a teacher. We start off with the word he teaches. Gekinomage. It gets a B form ending. And then they change the initial vowel. And that's how we get the word teacher. Gekinomaget. So there are other different ways for teacher, but they all might sort of relate back to this process. Okay. The word that I use for pop is monogamic. Monogamic comes from this word monogame. Monogame. You can say that about your coffee, your tea. You know, when you're really thirsty after a workout, after a walk. Monogame. Water tastes great. So that's what this word means. Monogame. It tastes good, about a liquid. And so monogamic is that liquid which tastes good. And that's how they said pop. So these are created doing that C form business, right? This is the A form. It has a B form ending. And then they've changed this I to an E. And we also use the C form when we do WH questions. So like who, what, where, why, when, and how. That will be a place where we use C form a lot. There is a case where we use B form, but we'll talk more about that when we get there. Okay. And then this last sort of bit business here. We can use C form to say things like after and as soon as. So C form, super, super useful. Okie dokie. Questions, comments, concerns? I know I just went over a lot. Probably feel a little run over. It will start to make more sense when we start using it. And basically, I'll say all this over again. Okay. Again, feel free to stop me, say hey. We're almost there to the fun part. Okay. These are the pieces that we're going to find on our verb charts. So we first talked about these ones being the charts that you have to like write out 100 times to help you memorize it, to get it in your mind. And now we're going to talk about the verb charts that are going to have all the rules on here for you to be able to apply them to different words correctly. Okay. So you're going to see this rule a lot. It's probably on all of your A form charts. We're going to use IN if the next letter is a B, D, or G. It doesn't matter what the next thing is, whether it's a tense or just a verb. If the next letter is a B, D, or G, I will use in. In all other cases, I'll use ne. Here are our tenses. Gi is our past tense marker. We have this D, bracket V, close bracket. And this one means in the present tense is our present tense marker if the word starts with a vowel. Okay, so one of those 7 vowels that we started off at the beginning, single A, single I, single O, double A, double I, double O, or single E. And we only use it if it starts with a vowel. All other cases, you won't. Okay, you'll see this little placeholder out there. And there's just no marker for the present tense in that case. We have the we future going to or want to. Okay. I'll probably do that a couple more times. And later on, you'll ask me, what does that mean? And I'm going to go like this. And you're going to take a second and you're going to say, we. Right? The we future. We want to or going to. We will have ga and da. You will see throughout the chart. Those are our definite futures, will or shall. And we have this j. So this is the definite future. And you're only going to see this in the B form. Okay. We also are going to see this drop short vowels. So this is why it's super important to know which ones are short vowels. Single A, single I, single O is because they disappear a lot. So there's this rule out here, drop short vowels. Erase them, don't write them, delete them, drop kick them. I don't know. Get rid of them somehow. You gotta drop them short vowels. Okay. So here, each section is going to have its own set of endings, but our first chart starts off with these particular endings. V in this case stands for a vowel. If your verb ends in a vowel of any sorts, this is the ending you're going to use. And there will be something here. If your verb ends in an N, you will use this particular ending. If your verb ends in an M, you will use this particular ending. Okay. If your verb ends in an N or an M, you'll use this particular ending. Okay, sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're different. And we'll talk about this each time we get into a new verb class. Because each verb class has its own set of possible endings. In Anishinaabe for VAI, the possibilities are a vowel, an N, or an M. Okay. And we already talked about this arrow, and we're going to see them also in the charts that are coming. So the arrow means change what comes before the arrow to what comes after the arrow. So in this case, it's saying M is going to change to NG. Okay. Whereas if we see a hyphen, we're just going to add that one on. Okay. So here we are at our chart. This is our very first chart A form, VAI. I'm so excited. Okay. You don't have to be excited. I'm excited for you. Okay. You can be excited too. Okay. And you're going to stick your verb in here. In a minute, I'll take you to your other chart where you'll see it. But you're going to stick your verb in here. And what we can do is we're going to make a ruler. And you pick up all the pieces that touch that particular line. So if what am I doing? So if I'm doing I'm eating or I'm hungry, I would pick up one piece from each box as I go across. You are eating. So he is eating. His or her friend is eating. There is eating. We are eating. We are eating. Y'all are eating. They are eating. So I'm going to follow this across to pick up a piece from each box to make my sentence. Okay. And then we also have a B form version of that. Okay. It follows the same premise of picking up the pieces. So a little further here, you'll have your word list. This word list, any word from the dictionaries, from the online dictionaries, should be able to go right into your chart. Okay, so these are all, I would say stick to the words on the word list. That way everybody has a common reference. And then so here are our bigger charts, a little further back, full page charts. And one thing I want to say about this one is that all the tense boxes follow the same order. So past, present, future, future, past, present, future, future, past, present, future, future. So when you're deciding what you want to say, past, present, future, future, and even over here, past, present, future, future. Once you decide what you're going to say, you'll know which tense you want. And so is it past? Is it present? Is it we future, like you want to or you going to? Or is it a ga future? Like, will I do it? Will he do it? Okie dokie. Questions, comments, concerns, cries of outrage. We're about to move into the fun. Okay. So let me just triple check here. I think it's this way. Okay, so I'm going to give you this URL in a moment. And it's going to make you a copy. And here we have that chart. You don't have to put the pieces back because I made it copy for you. Okay. And we have some words over here. And what we're going to do, I was sort of saying, you're going to pick your word. So can somebody pick a word from the little list I have over here?
Wisne.
Okay. So I'm gonna say something about eating. What do I want to say? I did eat. I'm eating. I want to eat, or I will eat.
Will eat.
Okay. So that's step one. You have to know what you want to say. Okay. So I'm gonna write that down for me. I'm gonna write I will eat. That's what I want to say. And so you're gonna put your verb in the middle here. And as new learners, eventually you'll be able to do it from left to right without even looking. But as new learners, I want you to start in the middle. You're gonna pick your Wisne up. You put your Wisne back. Just kidding. And then so I will eat. That's what I want to say. Past, present, future, future. The we future is want to or going to. So will has got to be that ga future. Will. So I'm going to pick up a ga. And I'm doing I. So I am I going to pick up ne and I or in?
In.
Why would you say in?
Just wanted to see if it was wrong. Because my first instinct was the NI, but I was like, okay, let's see what Natik says if I say IN.
Yeah. So this little one tells us if the next letter is a B, D, or G, regardless if there's a tense or not. But there is a tense in this case. The next letter after this one, and so this is why you're sort of starting in the middle and working your way out, because it'll make sure you make the right choice here.
Okay.
The next letter is a G, B, D, or G. So I am going to take in. And so you're not done yet. You made your way one way. You need to come back to the middle and then go the other way. And so this one says drop short for I. Sometimes I need a ruler, so I know where to look. And this one says drop short vowel single I single O. Ngawisen. Ngawisen. So that's my first one. Ngawisen. Questions, comments, concerns?
I'm just afraid I'm getting lost behind here.
It's okay. It's I'm gonna ask y'all to play with it soon, and that way you can bring back some more questions. Okay. But where do you think you're getting lost? Do you think, or where do you have us up to?
So right now I got my three boys. I'm trying to keep them occupied and be back and forth. But I got a lot of notes. Yeah, I'm just my first time learning.
Okay. Well, there will be a recording for after.
Right.
And all of these links will be available after this class as well. So if you need to go back to review, that's okay. But once you get one chart, you have all of them.
Right.
Okay. So first step, I need to know what I want to say. I can't do that in this program. So the next one I'm going to say, and we're going to practice this a lot, right? The first one was I will eat. The next one I'm going to do is you will eat. Then I will do he will eat. His or her friend will eat. There will be eating. We will eat. We will eat. Y'all will eat. They will eat. Okay, we're going to do this several times. That way I know you can build the verbs and go on to say what you want to say. And through building verbs, hopefully you'll start to recognize the pieces when you're given some material. So here we have we snap. We're going to do you will eat one more time. So again, as new learners, you're going to want to start in the middle. We snap. Will. So all the tense boxes are the same. Past, present, future, future. I pick up a ga. I keep going. You. Giga. Come back to the middle. Drop my short vowel. And I have my next one. Giga Wiesen. You will eat. And sorry, we'll just do one more. He will eat. Because this one will look just a wee bit different. So I'm gonna put all my pieces back. Not for the next person, but for my own sake. Okay. So Shahi, this one, super fun. Oh my God, I'm so bad at that. There we go. Wisene in the middle. I'm gonna pick that one up. This one, we said Shahi will eat. We're gonna stick with the will as we do this. Past, present, future, future. Duh. And I'm gonna make sure I go all the way up there. There's nothing for me to pick up here. Okie dokie. Come back to the middle and go to the right, and there's nothing for me to pick up there. So da wisne is good. Is all we need to say. Da wisne. Okay.
Is it me or is it that the she he seems to be the easiest to conjugate, I guess. Just because you the wisne, and then we're not dropping, we're not adding, we're just the wisne. Will that happen with other words on this sample list?
Yeah, so like Shahi is sort of the default for our VAI verbs.
Mm,
So it starts off in that way.
hmm
So that's why it seems so easy. Because
Okay.
it's sort of our starting point. Maybe we should do a we just to be safe. We sene. We but not you will eat. Nah. We and you will eat. So we sene. Past, present, future, future. Ga. I'm gonna pick up ge. These are my only choice to be inclusive. Gagawisen. Gagawisen. So I've picked up all my pieces on the left side. Now VAI. Okie dokie. Back in the middle. And move to the right side. Wisne ends in a vowel. Short vowel, but a vowel nonetheless. So I'm gonna pick this one with the V next to it. Gagawisneme. Gagawisneme. Oh, I can do that here. Oh no, what did I do? We will eat. Okay, okay. So I'm going to pop this into the chat and it'll be clickable. So it'll open up the thing and you just make a copy and then y'all can play around with it. Record your sentences on the side over here or on a piece of paper. Okie dokie. Just play around with it. Try to say different things. Yeah. Questions? No? Okie dokie. So it is in the chat. Please always remind me to turn the red light back on. Because during practice times, like when you're doing work and we do breakout rooms and stuff like that, I'm going to turn the recording off so that, you know, you don't have to feel worried about being on recording doing your practice.